Welcome back to the Selection Show special. We got 19 teams to fill out in the bracket. And we'll continue on. Okay, Princeton will take on Towson, and Syracuse will take on Harvard.
Let's start with that matchup coming on Saturday.
Oh boy.
When you think about Princeton, we just saw them in the Ivy League final going down to Cornell.
They put on a show for 3 quarters. That was one of the most entertaining finals you've seen in league history against Cornell. They scored 15 goals. The bad news is Cornell scored 20. It starts with Colter McAsee. He is now tied with Jesse Hubbard as the all-time leading goal scorer in school history with 163. He's a lefty. He's slick. And he's got line mates and Nate Kabiri and Colin Burns who are just as slick. I love the way they move the ball around. I think they made some adjustments this year defensively, and they look better. But, Quint, you know, Towson has really turned things around this year.
Started 1-5.
We'll take on Towson.
Wins to capture back-to-back CAA championships. This is a team that played.
We'll take on Towson Tigers.
In 2017. Head coach Sean Franklin. Towson Tigers, they mean toughness, and they have been nasty in the first round of this tournament. This team's led by Mikey Weishire, Ronan Fitzpatrick, and Chop Gallagher. Luke Downs has really given them stability between the pipes. And this team is on the improve and very dangerous.
I want to thank Towson for acting surprised on that watch party, too.
Hey, let's see what's the...
Until we had them on camera. Moving along in the bracket. Number 6 is Syracuse. Syracuse comes in with the 6th seed. This is a team that struggled a little bit, but we had them in their final regular season game against North Carolina.
And Syracuse Orange.
They were on the bubble on Thursday. Then they win the semifinal game against Notre Dame Friday, and then they win the ACC tournament against Duke today. Joey Spallina leads that offense from an assist perspective, second in the nation. You have Owen Hiltz, the lefty sniper, and then Sam English is about as well-versed of a midfielder as you will see in the college game. That's why all the PLL coaches and GMs are salivating over his ability to play anywhere on the field.
Sunday, 5 o'clock in the Dome. Who will they play? Harvard out of the Ivy. So this is one of the more intriguing matchups, Q, in my mind, in that first round.
And they're pumped, and they should be, because they had to hold their breath for the last 48 hours. The Crimson and Jerry Byrne back in the tournament. We covered them playing Rutgers back in 2022. This is a team that leads the country in ground balls per game. They've got a wicked ride. They like to play an up-tempo style.
They'll take on Harvard. Ooh.
They don't face off particularly well, but they play a ton of guys defensively, and they just want to create tempo.
They don't face off well, but they ride as well as any team in the country, and they're incredible on ground balls, #1 nationally. And they will not flinch when they enter the Dome because they beat Syracuse earlier this season, and they will be ready to go.
Let's move on and find out who the 7th seed is in this tournament. It's the Duke Blue Devils, another team that was kind of up and down a little bit late in the going in this year. Q, you kind of thought, is Dino going to get into the tournament? And then they had a late push to get in.
I love their defense. Charlie Johnson, to me, is one of the best close defenders in the country. They've got a terrific short-stick defensive midfielder in Aiden McGuire. And their first midfield is elite. Jack Pappendick, Max Sloat, and Ben Johnson. The question is attack production. They've moved Andrew McAdory down to attack. It's had varying success. But this team has kind of found their identity. They're athletic, and they play great defense in front of goalie Patrick Jamieson. And I think they'll play in low-scoring, close games in the tournament.
Yeah, they have the best short-stick defensive midfielder in the land in Aiden McGuire. He is an absolute physical force. And Tomas Delgado, who was quiet for most of the year, has exploded the last couple weeks at the midfield.
Who will Duke play on Saturday evening, the primetime game? Georgetown. The Hoyas once again.
Yeah, Duke will take on Georgetown.
The Big East. What else is there?
They've been great in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Their quarterfinal mainstays. Their head coach, Kevin Warren, played for John Danowski at Hofstra. He has so much respect for him, but he also has a plethora of talent. Aiden Carroll is the Big East Offensive Player of the Year. He is a big-time sharpshooter with the right hand, and they have an eraser at defense in Ty Banks, who is the league's Defensive Player of the Year.
Amazing. 7 consecutive Big East tournament championships. 7 in a row.
Who is the 2 seed? You're probably thinking at home, you know who it is. It's the Maryland Terps. And this says something about what the committee was thinking, doesn't it, Clark?
It does. It's all about the numbers. If you have the RPI, you have the strength of schedule. No one had more impressive wins than John Tillman did this year. They beat so many big dogs. You look at their schedule, they got it done. They beat Notre Dame early in March down in Atlanta.
I don't think on
They
Maryland.
beat Princeton. They beat Syracuse. The list goes on and on. Eric Spanos is a marquee attacker. He's 6'5", 220. If you give John Tillman a week to prepare, good luck.
And the two teams that he
And then
could
Maryland will
play,
take
one
on
of the others does not have a
Robert
record.
Morris
Maryland
Air
will be playing
Force.
Corby because the opening round
It'll
game
be
on
Robert
Wednesday,
Morris
Robert
or Air
Morris
Force. Well,
against
that
Air
will be
Force.
determined, you know.
We'll take a look at Robert Morris
Robert
celebrating.
Morris is a team that's really developed over the course of the year. David Burr, 50 points at attack. I love his balance too. He's about 25 and 25. And then you have his goaltender, Nate Fechter, who's 56% on the year. So he's the type of player that can really plug a hole, and we'll have to face Air Force, and they're on a roll.
Champions of the A-Sun, their 6th appearance. The last tournament was back in 2017. They started off 0-4, and they have won 6 straight, taking down Utah to win the conference championship 11-10. Billy Wilson, head coach, congratulations. A-Sun player of the year, Josh Yago. Kalen Driggs has also got 53 goals.
A week ago, if you would have said one of the service academies was going to make this tournament, you wouldn't have said Air Force and you wouldn't have said Navy. You would have said Army because they came into the week ranked number 3 in the country, but they couldn't get it done in the Patriot League tournament, and they're out.
The committee spoke, right? They looked at the numbers, the RPI, the strength of schedule. Harvard was better in both criteria. The fact of the matter is, Army's a team, the way they were built up the middle, could challenge for a national championship, but they didn't get it done. And you look at their schedule. Yeah, they beat Yale. Yale normally is a great RPI win. Rutgers is normally a great RPI win. Those didn't help them down the stretch.
In every metric, Harvard had the advantage over Army, whether it was RPI, strength of schedule, or wins over the top 10 and wins over the top 20. Whether the eyeball test said you thought Army could win a national championship this year, and honestly, this is one of the better Army teams that we've ever seen, but they didn't get it done on their home field in the semifinals of a league tournament. And, again, when you look at the metrics, I know this hurts for Army fans, but this was the right decision based on the criteria.
They had a star at every level of the field. Sean Byrne in the goal, AJ Pilot as a lockdown defender, Evan Plunkett as a midfielder, Jackson Hiker as an
This is
attacker.
not about players.
I
This
know.
is about their record.
I know.
And their strength of schedule, and the fact that they didn't get to play Syracuse or Cornell this year and instead played Mercer, and their wins never materialized or worked for them.
Yes, normally when you schedule a Yale or a Rutgers, you think it's going to help you. It didn't in 2025. The reason I'm bringing up all these stars is because I confidently can say if you match them up against these teams, nobody would want to play Army. But the fact of the matter is the committee spoke, and I applaud the committee. They stayed to their guns, right? They looked at what they wanted in terms of criteria in the RPI and the strength of schedule, and they didn't flinch. But at the end of the day, when you don't have the schedule and the strength of schedule numbers aren't working for you, and you have to go out and you have to win a conference championship on your turf, and you don't, I'm sorry.
It's a shame we won't get to see those stars at Army during this tournament, but we got 18 teams that are in. We're going to get to see all those stars over the next month leading up to Memorial Day. We'll talk more big picture items when we come back. Now that we've had a chance to digest the bracket a little bit, Notre Dame shot at a three-peat. Can the number 1 team in the country run all the way to the title on Memorial Day? We'll wrap it up when we come back.
We'll wrap it up when we return. Don't go anywhere.